Hey guys, it's Coach Brian here to talk about our flag football plays for week 1. Hey, we're now on the purple passing plays, and so purple passing play 5 is a wide receiver screen. Okay, and so this is one of my favorite plays. We'll run it a lot. And what we want to do on this play, it's a pretty simple play to draw up, but it's hard to execute. All right, so all we're going to do is we're going to have this outside receiver come underneath these two receivers and catch a pass. Pretty simple. There is a little bit of complexity in it that if you don't do it right, if there is a defender man-on-man on this wide receiver and he sees that action, he can jump in there and intercept a pass. Okay? So we don't want to let him do that. So what we want to do on this play, the most important part of this play, is for these two interior receivers to fire out and set a pick on that defender so this receiver can get this pass and head upfield, okay? Okay, so this is a pass play that is actually on Madden video game. All right, and so you can see there we've got 3 receivers left. So here's our trips left formation. Here's our quarterback in a shotgun. And you'll see on Madden 17 they run the play the correct way. These two receivers are going to fire out at an angle, and we don't have defense shown here, but if the defense were here, they would pick that defender off so that this receiver can curl underneath and get the pass. Okay, and so here's what that would look like. Watch those 2 interior receivers fire out. See, there they go. And now they're there to block for him, and he can go in for a touchdown. Okay, so that is purple play number 5, the wide receiver screen. That is one of my favorite plays, and we will run it a lot. So hopefully we can get you guys to run it correctly, and we won't have a lot of pickoffs, right? Interceptions. Because if you run it right, it won't get intercepted. But if it's not run right, it's pretty easy to pick off that play. And again, the key to that play, and you'll hear me say it over and over again, is for these 2 interior receivers to fire out, okay, and pick off any defenders that are in the way. Okay, so that's purple play number 5, the wide receiver screen. Let's talk about purple play number 6, the wide receiver screen quarterback reverse. Now, this is always one of the favorite plays of my oldest son, who used to run this to perfection and get a lot of touchdowns. So we'll show this play to you. Again, we want it to look exactly the same, okay? Those 2 guys are going to fire out, and this wide receiver is going to cut underneath for the pass. And what happens on this is if we've run the wide receiver bubble screen enough times, these defenders know they're going to get picked here, and so they're going to fight through those picks to the inside, all right? And they're going to be waiting on this receiver to catch the ball and cut upfield. So what we do is after the quarterback throws to that receiver, the quarterback follows his pass, okay, gets a handoff from a wide receiver, and now runs the other way. And now these defenders, if they have moved down there, are out of position, and we can get a long gainer out of it, okay? So that is bubble screen QB reverse, okay? And I'll just diagram it again real quick. Bubble screen QB reverse, these 2 defenders, or not defenders, these 2 receivers fire out. Wide receiver comes in for the pass. Quarterback passes it and then takes a handoff going the other way. Okay, that is bubble screen QB reverse. Okay, purple play number 7, double pass. Again, we want this to look exactly the same as the bubble screen. So we're going to have these 2 receivers fire out at the defense. That wide receiver is going to come underneath to get the pass. And one thing you need to know about a double pass is that you can't have 2 forward passes in a play. That's illegal. So if we ran the play where the wide receiver was only this deep and the quarterback threw forward to him, he could not then throw again forward to somebody else, okay? So the trick to this is you've got to make sure that the wide receiver is getting deeper or behind the quarterback, okay? So that this first pass is backwards. And I know for some of you who don't play a lot of football, that may be confusing, but this would be a backwards pass, right? So we get that that pass made, and now we have the receiver has the ball, and since the first pass was backwards, he can throw it again. That's why we call it a double pass, okay? So he's got the ball. What we want to do is the center is going to run a deep route over there, and the quarterback, a lot of times the quarterback won't be covered, is going to run a similar route underneath, okay? And then these two receivers that fired off and set the pick are going to run crossing routes. And right about the depth of the cone, okay? And so this receiver now has the ball. He can roll right. His first option is to look at that center deep, the quarterback underneath, these two receivers crossing, and if nothing's there, he's a receiver on the play, so he can always run, okay? That's a legal play. So that is the double pass. It's a complicated play, but it's a good trick play. Most of the teams in the league run some play like that. And so that's what our double pass will look like. And again, the key to that is just make sure that first pass goes backwards. If you're the quarterback, you may even want to go under center. Go under center for that play so that you're sure that first pass is backwards. Okay, so let's get to our last pass play. This is pass play number 8. This is always one of the kids' favorites in all the teams I've coached. And so this is called ladders. We call it ladders because everyone's going to run a crossing pattern, and it looks like rungs of a ladder. So, again, it's going to look like, we want it to look like the bubble screen reverse. So those guys are going to fire out to the left to start things off, and the wide receiver is going to fold underneath. But this is where we'll pump fake it. The quarterback will pump fake it to that wide receiver, and hopefully we'll pull the defenders in thinking it's another wide receiver screen. But it's not a wide receiver screen. It's multiple crossing patterns or ladder rungs. So after that pump fake there, we want everybody to run a crossing route. The first guy will run a crossing route deeper than the cone. The second guy will run a crossing route just under the cone. The center will run a crossing route. And then this wide receiver, who was the bubble screen receiver usually, after that pump fake, he'll run almost like an S route, which turns into an out route or a crossing route. And so now the quarterback, after you pump fake that, you have pretty easy read here, right? You can look over the center of the field, and at that cone, that rush cone, all those crossing routes should be fairly close to the rushing cone. And you should have a deep option, 2 intermediate options, and a shallow option, okay? And so it's a very easy play for the quarterback to read. If the defense overcommits to that bubble screen, we'll have a lot of guys open. If they're in zone, we have 4 receivers coming across those zones. The defense almost always breaks down somewhere, and you've got an open receiver. All right, there you have it. Those are our 4 pass plays. And if you have any questions about that, you can ask one of the coaches, and we'll walk you through it. And I hope you're ready to play on Saturday. Take care, everybody.